In this lab exercise, you're required to develop a tic-tac-toe game app. Let's just go over the background studies you're supposed to do before you start coding for your app. So if you go to lectures page for the course, you have to review at least 2 tutorial series before you actually start your app developments. The first one is about sharing an object among multiple buttons. So you can go to the link and then review the videos if you are not so confident about the sharing the objects as an attributes in the controller class. And the second one is about the model pattern declaring array reference attributes. Specifically, if you go to the tutorial series, one of the later videos talks about how you can do error handling, which you will need for this particular lab 6. And finally, this lab is really about building the tic-tac-toe game board using a 2-dimensional array, the primitive array in Java. You are not allowed to use any of the library classes. You must use the 2-dimensional array, primitive array to build your app. So if you go to the lectures page, you will see the lecture notes about 2-dimensional array. You should really review them before you start. You will find that many of the examples that we went over in the class are actually useful for implementing the methods for your app. Okay, so that's about the background study. Make sure you go over them before you start coding. And now let's go to the interface for the app, and let's go over some basic functionality to see the expected usages for the app. So this is the app over here. Let me just minimize this. Okay, so this is the app. So let's just go over the interface. The title over here, EECS 1022 Winter 18 Lab 6 Tic-Tac-Toe Game. So that's the title you should have for your app. And then we have 2 text fields, name of player X and name of player O. So we have basically, we're going to use terminology player X and player O. Player X is going to mark X on the board, and player O is going to mark O on the board. We'll see. And then before we start or restart the game, we have to say who plays first. It can be either player X or player O. Okay, so they can alternate the turn. I will show you both cases. And as soon as you enter the name for the X, the name for player O, and also choose which player goes first, and then you can start or restart the game. So this button here is going to be shared by 2 functionalities. The first functionality is you can start a new game, or after you finish playing a new game, you can also click on the same button to restart a new game. Okay. And then once you start or restart a game, you can now choose a row number and choose a column number. And over here, the display should show you the current status of the board as a 2-dimensional array, the printout, and also to say who will be the next to play. Okay, well, I'll show you. And one thing to notice is the row number over here must be 1, 2, or 3. Similarly, for column number 1, 2, or 3. So there's a hint here for you. From the external user's point of view, the way they allocate, the way they identify slots in the board, in a 2-dimensional board, will be by row number 1, 2, 3 or column 1, 2, 3, which is different from how you will use indices to get access to a 2-dimensional array in Java, which would be 0, 1, or 2. So the inconsistency here must be resolved by you as a programmer. Okay, but from the external point of view, you must use 1, 2, or 3 over here for the user, and 1, 2, or 3 over here. Okay, I'll show you. And then after each turn for the player, you can say play. Okay, so you're going to click on the play button for as many times as the game is not over yet. So as soon as the game is over, clicking on the same play button is going to display some error to say maybe either because there's already a winner or already there's a tie. Okay, let's just go over several test cases. So let's say for player X, let me just give some simple name. Let's just say A over here. And also for player O, I will say B. And now, let's say I want to say who plays first. Let's say player X, which is A, is going to play first. And now, as soon as I say start a new game, click on this button here, it's going to say current game status, and it's going to print out the board. So the board here, you can say initially, all the slots are unoccupied, in which case it's going to be ... throughout. So it's a 3x3 board. So when a slot is represented by a single dot, that means it's all unoccupied. Okay, initially there's no marker just yet by either player. And then we say the next player to play will be A because we chose player X, which is A, to be playing first. So now A should play first. Let's say, let's make it simple. If you should choose a row and call a number, if you say 1 and 1. So it's going to be row number 1. By the way, this is how the user is going to identify the row and column. Row number 1 and row number 2 and also row number 3. And then column number 1 and column number 2 and column number 3. And then we find out the intersection by choosing the two values over here. Let's say for player A, which is an X player, which is going to mark the X. And we're going to say 1 and 1. So now if we say play over here, it's going to do two things. First of all, it's going to mark X on 1, 1 over here. And also it's going to change the next player to play from A into B. Because after A is played, the turn will go to the other player. Okay, so now if we say play over here, you will see X has been marked over here, right? Okay, so the next player to play will be player O. Okay, so now let's choose something different. Let me just choose, for example, let's say row number 2 and column number 2. So the middle slot. If I say play over here, you can see player O has just marked O on this particular location over here. So there could be some error case over here. Let's say now the next player to play will be A. Let's say A also choose 2 and 2 over here, in which case the slot has already been occupied by player O, so that you cannot mark X anymore. So if I say play over here, this is why you should display. You will say error slot at 2, 2 over here already occupied. So that means player A over here has failed to actually make this move, so you should make the move again. So we got X, we got O, nothing has been changed, but we have to display this error. So there are two things you should display in the case of the error case. So you should display the error to say which slot has already been occupied, and also you should always display the current game status as a two-dimensional board over here. Okay, and the next player to play will be A. Okay, let's say we put row number 3 and column number 3. Let's say so row number 3 and column number 3 over here, and then we say play. Okay, so now it's success, and the next player to play will be B. Okay, let's just try. And now for B here, if I simply say 1 and then 1 over here, apparently you can see that this wouldn't be possible because 1 and 1 has been already occupied by X, right? So now you will say play, and then you will say error slot already occupied, right? As long as the slot is already occupied, either by the same player or by the other player, you should display the error, because then you can never overwrite a particular slot for more than once. Okay, let's just finish the game. So now for player B, so let's say we have, let's say 1 and 2. So row number 1 and column number 2. So you can predict it's going to be here, right? Okay, we say play over here. So now we got, so you can see that so far we haven't got any winner, or we haven't reached any tie just yet. But let's say for this particular game, we want to eventually reach a tie, let's say. So now for player A, the turn, okay? So you should notice that every time over here, you must display the right player name over here to say this player is the next one to play, okay? So now let's say we put, let's say 3 and 2. Row number 2, 3 and column number 2, okay? And then say play, okay, like that, okay? And then for player B, let's say 3 and 1, okay? So you put it here. So far, no winner just yet. And then for player number 1, for player number X, so let's say we have row number 2 and column number 1. And then like that, no winner just yet. And let's say for player O, and we're gonna have, let's say row number 1 and column number 3. Play. Okay. So now what you can see is, okay, so let's say in this case we don't have a tie. So in this case we do have a winner. You can see that the way player B wins is by a diagonal over here, right? So you should really review in the instruction what does it really mean when we have a winner, when we have a tie. So when you have a winner, you can either win by a row, or you can win by a column, or you can win by a diagonal, okay? So there are in total 8 possibilities for you to win, either of the 3 rows, or either of the 3 columns, or either of the 2 diagonals. Okay, so these are the 8 possibilities you should really consider. Okay, so now game is over with B being the winner. You can see that B has won over here. Okay, so now let's say if you try to click on the play button again, you can see that it doesn't show you who will be the next player. Okay, so if you say play again, it's going to say error, game is already over. And then you display the latest game status to say the game is already over with B being the winner. Okay, so you can see the idea. One more thing to show you. Let's say I have, notice one thing here. When I say row number 1 and column number 3, basically we got two mistakes at the same time over here. The first mistake is 1, 3, which is 1 and 3. Row number 1, column 3 is over here, which is already marked by the circle. It's already occupied. Okay, and second error is you're trying to make a move when the game is already over. So we got two errors over here. But the error for game is already over has a higher rank. So that means you should display that error only. So in this case, you wouldn't display to say the slot 1, 3 is already occupied. You don't do that. You only display a particular slot is already occupied when the game is not over yet. Okay, so now in this case, you only display the game is already over error. Okay, so now we have seen many cases already. Okay, so now let's just see how we can have another 2 wins and also a tie. Okay, let's just for completeness. So now let me just say C over here and D over here. Okay, and then I click on the same button here. It's going to start a new game. Okay, so it's a current game status. You got all the slots being unoccupied, and also the next player to play would be C. Okay, now in this case, let's make an easy win. Let's say we got 1, 3 over here. Okay, and then we also, let's say we got 2, 3. Okay, and then let's say 1, 2, and then let's say we got 2, 2. Okay, and then also we got 1, 1. Okay, in that case, you can see game is already over with C being the winner, right? You can see that like that, okay? So it's already a winner. So winning by a single row, okay? And then, of course, if you click on playing, you're going to say error, game is already over. You wouldn't say slot 1, 1 is already occupied. You would simply say the game is over. Remember that, okay? Let's do another win. Let's say E and F. But now this time, let me choose the player O to be playing first. Okay, and then I start a new game over here. So player O, so you can see that the next player to play will be F, which is player O. Okay, and then let's say we do 1, 1 over here. You can see that we mark O over here rather than X. Okay, notice that. Okay, so we say 1, 1. Let's say we have another one. Let's say we have 2, 1. Let's say 1, 2. 1 and 2 for player E. Okay, over here. Okay, and then we have 2, 1, and then play. Okay, and then we have 2, and then 2. Okay, and then we have another one. Let's say 3, 1 over here. And then you can see we are winning by a column over here. So game is over with F being the winner. F is the O player over here, right? I'm just showing you one particular run where you can just win by a column. Of course, you can have more moves before you win by a column. I will leave them to you for you to test. Okay, so far we have seen winning by a column, winning by a row, and also winning by also a diagonal, right? Let's see how we can reach a tie. Let's try that. EF, of course, up to now, the game is already over. If you say play over here, it would say error, game is already over, right? Okay, let's say EF, let's say G and H. Let's be careful, let's make a tie, okay? A tie simply means no one actually wins so far by row, column, or diagonal, but we have no available slots anymore, okay? So let's say, who plays first? Let's say we player O. Player O, so the next player will be H. Let's try that. Let's say 3, 1 for player O. So let's say play. And then you will see that, okay, it's already, it's marked O over here. And then the next one, let's say 2, 1 for player X. Okay, next player, so G for player X. So 2, 1 for player X. So we got over here. And the next one, player O, let's say 2, 2, the middle slot. Let's say 2, 2 over here for player O, okay, which have over here. So far, nobody has won. And then step number 4. Let's say the right corner. the right top corner, let's say 1, 3 for player X. So 1, 3 for player X. Okay, that we have here. And then the next one, let's say we got, let's say bottom right corner. And then we got 3, 3 for player O. So 3, 3 for player O. And then we have that. Okay, so now in order to prevent this player to win, let's put it here on the top left corner. And then let's say 1, 1 for player X. So 1, 1 for player X over here. So we have that. And again, so far nobody has won. Okay, you can see we only got 1, 2, 3, 3 slots left. Let's just go on. And then for the next one, let's say we have 1, 2 for player O. If you do that, okay, so now we have here, and then player O almost wins, so we got to be careful. So now for the next one, let's prevent it to happen. So let's put it here for player X. So let's say 1 and 3, 2. Row number 3, and then column number 2 for player X. And then we have here. And then finally, you can see that we basically reach a tie, but not just yet. So now it's the turn for player H, which is player O with name H. So now the only option player O has will be only this slot over here. We're gonna play it. We have no choice. So that'll be 2, 2. Be 2, 3. Row number 2 and column number 3. If we do that, you can see that over here nobody has won. But at the same time, we have no dot in the board, which means no slots are unoccupied. So every slot has been marked by the 2 players, and so the game is over with a tie between G and H. Okay. So now, if I say 2, 3 again, it's gonna say game is already over. It's an error. Okay. You gotta do that first, and then you will display the latest status for the game again, which is a tie between G and H. Okay. So far we have seen basically quite many possibilities over here. You can either be a winner by row, a winner by column, a winner by diagonal, and also it can be a tie, in which case there's no unavailable slot anymore in the board. Okay, you should really handle all the cases for your app. Make sure you test all of them beyond this demonstration.